Well, kia ora and good morning everybody, and we have a slight difference this morning in that we are also, after the prayer, going to ask Councillor Maxwell to acknowledge the passing of Pihopa Kingi, but firstly we'll open with a prayer. Thank you, Councillor Bentley.
Almighty God, who alone is the leader of all mankind and the fountain of all knowledge, send thy blessing upon us, your servants, this day, as we strive to do all things good for the betterment of the people of Rotorua district. May we be tolerant in ourselves at all times, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Remain standing, and I'll ask Councillor Maxwell, please, if you could lead us in our acknowledgement of the passing of Pihopa Kingi.
Thank you, Te Manukura. Tihei Mauri ora. Ka tangi te titi, ka tangi te kāka, ka tangi hoki ahau, Tihei Mauri ora. I te rangatira o Ngāti Whakaue me te arawa whānui, koro Pihopa Kingi, haere, haere, haere atura, haere ki te kaihanga o te rangi. Ia tau anō ki a tātou katoa te ata whai o tō tātou areki aihu karaiti me te aroha o te atua me te whiwhinga tahitanga ki te wairua tapu ai nei a ke tonu atu. Amen. Never. Minute silence. Kia ora koutou.
Thank you, and that's so appropriate, and I'm sure that previous councillors, previous mayors who have all had a long-standing relationship with Pihopa in his various roles, but particularly his support of the activities of council, will be also wanting to remember this wonderful man. For us, as councillors, I was lucky enough to see him last week in hospital, and he always used to give us a job, and there was a list usually of things, matters on the marae, matters down in the village, and then wider matters for us as a council. And he also was very instrumental in, as has been acknowledged by many of the movements in this town that led to national services. So, that work will be acknowledged on the marae quite appropriately. But last week I did say to him, so you must have a list for me. And he said, no, my work is done. And he was comfortable about the way this council was working in partnership with Te Arawa, and comfortable in the knowledge that Te Tatu o Te Arawa were working in partnership alongside of us. So I didn't get my list. So councillors, today we get on with the business of council together. I'm calling for any apologies other than Councillor Meripeka Rokawatate. Are there any further? There appear to be none. I need a mover. Thank you, Mark Gould. And seconded for the motion that the apologies from Councillor Rokawatate be accepted. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, carried. Are there any declarations of interest? There appear to be none. Are there any urgent items not on the agenda?
Madam Chair,
yes.
not an urgent item,
Yep.
but I wish to move a procedural motion that the recommendation 2 from the confidential section concerning the aquatic centre be brought into open debate in the light of what's appeared in this morning's paper. I think it's in the public interest.
And I will respond to that because all councillors have seen the growing community response here. If I could just caution the reason why, and I accept that the debate about the future of the aquatic centre is something that will come in the public domain. I'm just very aware that there is a very sensitive issue around this, and in the interests of the staff at the aquatic centre, I'd like the debate to remain confidential, but that this is something that will be disclosed fully with the community at the right time. It's just in the interests of the staff down there. Jeff, do you want to comment on that?
Through you, Your Worship. Look, I fully understand and support the need and the sort of wish for this to be a debate and open. The issue that we've got, however, is that we need to work with our staff through a due process. And what, of course, an open debate will mean for us is that they will potentially be watching this debate, and so they will be hearing and learning as to what this direction is through a council debate, as opposed to a discussion which we're able to walk them through all of the issues and the advantages, disadvantages, and the arrangements which have been potentially made available. So that's the significant issue that the debate in public has.
Madam Chair, if I can respond to that, my own feeling is that the decision before the Council in terms of that recommendation as to whether there is going to be an issue or not, and I think staff should have the right to know that as well as the public. It is only if we decide that we should go down the track of putting the contract out to another party that an issue then arises. So in the interests of the public, I strongly recommend that we hold this preliminary debate, which is whether we should or should not go down that track, and that's all it is, should be held in open forum.
By staff, and particularly Mr. Weston and the Chief Executive Office, because I understand in reading the Facebook and other emails that we've had that there are no surprises. The staff already know, and it's out in the public domain. One particular staff member whose brother was a former councillor around this table has certainly gone public with all the details. So in terms of us making a final decision, we will be debating that this afternoon in confidential if it stays that way. But in terms of Councillor Kent's motion, I don't think there is any surprises in terms of how Mr. Weston has handled the negotiations with the staff. A direct question was asked to Mr. Weston by the staff, and he told them exactly what the situation is. So I don't think that has been prejudiced. It's just, I think, when this is released to the community, that all the details of what CML or whatever decision we make, I don't want to go into the details, you've got to be very careful. The details are made abundantly clear to all parties. So I will second Councillor Kent's motion in terms of having a debate.
You had two aspects. Yes, you raised actually three aspects. One was social media, and we don't make decisions depending on social media. I'm very clear on that. And I'm aware that all councillors have received emails. That's probably more direct correspondence. I cannot answer the aspect of whether staff have been fully briefed on this. Only the Chief Executive can answer that. And you may put that to Henry. I'm just wondering if yes, I was wondering if we could split this idea.
So, councillors, just to remind you, and I will pass this to Mr. Weston in a moment, just to remind you that this has been an item that has actually been presented to you and considered by a committee. So the full debate has actually occurred in that committee. So you're considering today a recommendation from a committee, and general practice has it that we do not as staff represent to you a complete picture of all of the material that was actually presented to the committee. Now, if this is viewed externally, therefore, those that are viewing this will not have and do not have, because this matter occurred in confidence in the committee, they do not have the same access to the confidential material discussed at that committee that you have access to. So, in other words, what they are seeing is only part of the story. Now, the point that I was trying to make to you was that if you make a decision one way or other, we want to work with our staff and ensure that they have available to them the complete picture of what is actually proposed and how this will affect them. Now, of course, if you have this debate today, we can't ensure that the complete picture is conveyed to them through this debate. We've got no ability to control that. So therefore cannot control the way information gets to our people and cannot ensure that they've got a complete and accurate record or understanding of what is actually being considered or what is actually being proposed. There is a meeting set up for this afternoon, so we can ensure that they've got that complete picture and the process is actually worked through with them carefully. But of course, if you have this debate in public, we lose that ability to completely work with them in that manner. And ask Mr. Weston to comment.
Seconded the motion based on the information that the CEO, Mr. Weston, has obviously provided to the CEO. I'm happy to withdraw my second, and I would encourage Councillor King to do the same. I think we've got some staff down there, obviously from the emails that we've got, Madam Chair, that are very nervous about what's happening, and I think with due respect to them, that we should have the debate in confidential.
Well, thank you for that, Councillor Stewart, and I think that is the way that our Chief Executive's indicated that our staff really matter to us here. And looking at the tenor of some of the community concern, they too haven't yet got the full picture. And I think this is a stepped process. I then go back to the mover of the motion, Councillor Kent.
Madam Chair, based on the advice of the Chief Executive, I withdraw the motion.
Thank you. And it's so much better than me using my discretion in the chair, but I take account of the process that is very, very important here. But also the openness to be able to raise it here and see that we did have the debate in committee. So there is a certain amount of information in the public domain. Yes, Jeff.
Just actually the last point through you, Your Worship, and Councillor, I fully understand your wish to have this matter clearly articulated in the public area, and certainly you certainly have our support in regard to achieving that. I think it's just a matter of timing.
Move on now to confirmation of council minutes, page 7. Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Gould, that the minutes of the council meeting 26th of October 2017 be confirmed as a true and accurate record. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary? Carried. We now move to page 99. We jump substantively ahead in order paper, and I ask for a mover and a seconder to receive the report, that the report recommendations from other committees be received. Thank you, Councillor Gould. Seconded, Councillor Maxwell. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary? Carried. I need, and I'll take them one by one now, a mover and a seconder for the motion that following recommendations of the Strategy, Policy and Finance Committee meeting held on the 9th of November 2017 be adopted. Recommendation 1, business case for the Sir Howard Morrison Performing Arts Centre, that Council agree to proceed to detailed design work for strengthening and enhancing the building, options 4 and 6A of the report, within the already agreed $1 million envelope. The motion is open for discussion. Oh, will you move it? Thank you. Second it. Thank you. And now the motion is open for debate. Right. Yes, Councillor Sturt.
There's been considerable debate in the public arena in terms of proceeding, etc., but this motion needs to be released in terms of the media, because all we're doing is looking at the options for strengthening and enhancing within the $1 million. The other costs or the other figures that were discussed at the meeting in length are if we go with option 4 or option 6A. And on the committee's insistence, we did not give approval to spend any money beyond the $1 million, but subject to options 4 and 6A of that report coming back to the committee for in-depth discussion and consideration. So to say that we're, I'm sick and tired of these letters to the editors insinuating that this council has a carefree, laissez-faire approach to borrowing ratepayers' money and wasting it, where we do our due diligence and everything is debated and everybody can see it. All committee meetings other than confidential are on YouTube. So if you have any doubt and not being coloured by 1 or 2 or 3 people, go and watch the debates that are on the YouTube. That's my advice to the community. But I'm happy to second Councillor Hunt's motion that we look at that strengthening and enhancing and that the report come back to Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. I wish to point out that the recommendation is to spend $1 million doing detailed design work for the strengthening and enhancing with those options, not or. So this is to proceed with designing the enhancement of the building. I will not be supporting that, as I did not support it in committee.
Thank you. As the mover of this, I do support it. It was an annual plan decision. It was something we made last year to go ahead, and in order to have a complete picture, we need not only the strengthening work done, but also the enhancement work, because once we have that, we will be able to make an informed decision, and the community will also see what they will get from that work. And we'll certainly, I know, get the feedback on which proposal they support. It would be foolish for us to make a decision to do one or the other without that detailed design work. We put the money in the annual plan in order for that to happen, and in the long-term plan we will decide then which way forward following that design work. So this is the appropriate course of action. This is already work in progress, and I look forward to seeing, and I look forward to the community's feedback on this much-loved space.
Councillor Bentley, and then Councillor Donaldson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since the strategy and policy meeting, I have sought a lot of advice on this subject, and the general reflection is that approximately 4 years ago we had a plan for earthquake strengthening this building, which came out at around about 1.6 million. Which would bring it up to strength. Now surely at that time, to arrive at that figure, there must have been some plans in existence. The policy that you've got here about enhancing the thing, most people that I've sought the advice of are saying that it is extremely, extremely rare that the 650-seat auditorium is ever filled to capacity, and now we're talking about increasing it to maybe 1,000 or so, which I think is just a waste of money and time, in that if we can only get 30% out of the building as it is now, the same group of people are going to be running it. So how on earth are we going to increase upon that 30% capacity? So therefore I will not be voting in favour of enhancing. Strengthening, yes, we have to do that, but at the actual enhancing part of it, we've been, I think, been sold a pup.
Donaldson?
Thank you, Worship. Well, in my view, this is one of the better business cases brought before us. And look, what is encapsulated in this recommendation still leaves us options. It does say and enhancing, but that's still an option. So it's either strengthening or enhancing. We'll get the report back after the detailed design work. But the business case pointed out in terms of the capacity of the venue that one of the reasons it's woefully under-patronised is because the good shows are avoiding us, simply because it's a shabby old asset. And so it's not fit for purpose in attracting the right shows to bring the right audiences. And to me, what we have here is prudent stewardship of an asset, and we still have options when we get the report back, so I'll be supporting.
No more speakers? Oh, sorry, Councillor Gould.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. With recommendation 1, it should be up to $1 million to find out what it's going to cost to fix. So it might be less to get the options back to us. And I'd also like to point out that the minimum option is to is to strengthen the building, which is up to $4 million. So we either strengthen the building or we leave it idle and demolish it. So we've got two options.
Point of order, Your Worship. From my School C English, the word within means up to 1 million, so same thing.
Thank you, and thank you for pointing that out. I think it's a very simple decision today. We're just confirming that detailed work is undertaken. The decision, the crunch, will come when we decide which option or how it could be staged comes back. So I'll certainly be speaking in support. I too have lots of experts giving me advice, and I'd just like to say, just remember that Tauranga is agreeing to build a performing arts centre with a seating capacity of around 1,300. What this was all about to begin with was earthquake strengthening. You're quite right, it was, and all of us know that because of the annual plan. That's why the appropriation of up to $1 million was in there. But now, because of this calamity, we've got the option to look at earthquake strengthening and enhancement, but we can't make that decision until we get those design works back to us. It's as simple as that in my view, and then we show as a council whether we want to, as you say, Councillor Gould, just shut it down or do something with the building. So I'll certainly be in support of this very simple recommendation today. Councillor Maxwell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was going to leave it, but I too want to support this, and I won't repeat all the things that have been said by Councillor Hunt and Deputy Mayor. Support all of that there. I'm just regretting. Many years ago, I was part of the decision to enhance the building before all this earthquake strengthening things came in, and we should have. We had the option then of having it 1,000-seater, but unfortunately, the majority at the time 650, and we've been suffering since. I'll be supportive. Thank you.
All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary? Two? Or show of hands? All those in favour? Against? The motion is carried. We move now... Yes? Yes, they'll all be recorded. We move now to recommendation 2, amendment to Rotorua District Council traffic bylaw. 2015. I'm not going to read it all out. Thank you. Your second, thank you. It is open for discussion. Does anyone wish to discuss this? No? No clarification? Good. I'm going to put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary? Carried. I see people are already writing in, so they're away. The next motion is the speed limit bylaw, changes to speed limits. 6.4, that council agree that changes to speed limits on the roads as per the report are consulted on in accordance with the requirements of the rule setting of speed limits 2017. You'll move. Seconded Councillor Gould. All those in favour, please. Oh, it's open for discussion first. There appears to be none. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary? Carried. So Councillor Kent abstained due to a conflict of interest. Just yesterday at the Regional Transport Policy, we were given a presentation that will come to this committee about setting the new process for setting speed limits, and also the 110 kilometres that will apply to the Eastern Corridor in Tauranga. So that something may be notified to the public, they said, about January, February.
Since you raised the question, I'll take the liberty of asking the question. You went to the Bay of Plenty Transport meeting. Was the issue of Nongatawa Road raised?
The issue, it's not on the agenda at all, but I'll happily speak to it. In that we received a letter from the incoming Minister, Phil Twyford, about his clear direction to NZTA. All of the roading commitments are being reviewed, including the Eastern Corridor. Nongataha is the Western Corridor planning, and we don't know where those priorities are finally going to sit according to a revised GPS that's going to come out. But certainly they've heard about our pressures. To recommendation 4 about the Rotorua Special Housing Areas Policy, that Council agrees to the adoption of the Rotorua Special Housing Areas Policy to support the implementation of the Housing Accord. Moved Councillor Tapsell, seconded Councillor Gould. It's open for discussion.
Some mixed messages coming out of Wellington. Can we just have an update from staff what the the new government's emphasis is in this area? Because I hope the goalposts aren't changing.
Your Worship, I think Councillor Sturt picks up on the key point. It is mixed messages out of Wellington as to whether they will continue to use the special housing area framework going forward. Internally, we've talked about that and sort of said, look, we've got a policy in place, whichever direction it may go. So we just think it's important to confirm that we do have one. So if it continues, we can use it, and otherwise we will look forward to seeing what alternative mechanisms go onto the table, or we will have to continue as we are proposing to do, which is at the end of the spatial plan consultation process. We may make some decisions at that point about notifying some plan changes. So we've got several different options there, but the key for us is to move through our spatial planning consultation, come to some decisions, and then look at the mechanism that enables us to support housing growth in the district in the most appropriate way.
And we've also sent a letter to the Minister asking him to come so that we can hold a meeting around this and transport. So it's a perfect mix, really. Right, I'm going to put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary? carried. I now need a mover to go into public excluded. Thank you. Seconded Councillor Maxwell. All those in favour that council move into public excluded session, please say aye. Contrary? Carried. Right.